Halloween tomorrow. What are you going to be?
I'm going to be at home asleep. Maybe pass out candy. I don't know.
Nice. Congratulations, Jenna.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We're recording this on October 31st, which means it is Halloween here in Oklahoma City and in this Thunder business office. And we've seen some incredible costumes just getting in the elevator and coming up to the podcast studio. This is always such a fun time of year for all of our Thunder staffers. They really get into it.
Paris, you're going as sweater weather today.
Definitely my favorite time of year. We all know, yes.
I've seen Zuby in 2 different costumes, I think, today.
Yeah, that's one of our videographers, our lead. And he's amazing. He works on all of our Thunder Films projects. I'm not so sure if this other one was a costume. I don't know. It might just be him. Yeah.
I don't know if that's one of the most insulting things you can say to somebody is, nice costume. Like, no, I didn't dress up.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's just how I look.
My bad.
Yeah.
We've seen some people dressed up as Halloween candy, which brings me to the biggest question. We had this debate literally on Bally Sports Oklahoma broadcast last night as the Thunder took on Detroit of what the best Halloween candy is. And we heard some interesting choices here. And the one that sticks with me the most is Royce's, the 100 grand bar, which I still cannot
That's a dark horse candidate. Royce, I have your back on this.
Thank
you.
Yes.
Agree with this?
It's so good. I'm not saying it's the best, but to pull a dark horse candidate, like an 8 seed to make the Final Four.
Yeah, it's
big time.
It was a good run.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing well. They're hot at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's got a little bit of crisp to it. Anyway, I'll let you cook.
Is it a pretzel in there?
I don't know.
What's inside it? I don't know what's inside of it. But all I know is that my children got some Halloween candy a couple nights ago at a Halloween party. And I was, digging around, of course, going to steal some of it as dads do.
Tax. Yeah.
Yeah, dad tax. Yeah. And I pull one out. I'm like, 100 grand bar. And I take a bite of that thing and, lit up my world.
Yeah. It's real
Royce,
good.
do you know why it was still in the bag? Because the kids don't like it. It's not
They
good.
think they don't like it.
It looks kind of like an old guy candy.
Yeah,
it does.
It's got the old guy
The
candy look
packaging
to
is
it.
not helping.
You know what's sad is what my other thought was that I really like is Payday.
Okay, I'm not in on the paydays.
And my dad used to eat Payday all the time, and I used to be like, "Oh,
that's the
so
one that's just like
old."
straight peanuts,
just
on
peanuts and caramel.
Yeah, it
that's
seems
like
like
a
a chore
granola
to
bar.
me. Yeah.
But see, your picnic,
Your picnic.
you went with Milky Way as for the sole reason because it didn't have peanut in it.
Exactly.
Which I found ridiculous.
That's a granola bar at that point.
It is.
This is like,
That's
you're
like
trying
meal replacement
I don't
at that
need
point.
protein in a candy bar. I'm not here for that.
It makes it good for you.
That's not what I'm here for. That's not what candy's all about.
I'm not a Milky Way guy. I'm not.
It's so smooth with the caramel and the nougat,
Well,
and the chocolate.
It's okay.
yeah.
Milky Way's okay as long as you didn't say Three Musketeers. Three Musketeers is just a
That's
mush.
just
It's
air.
just a mush.
Yeah.
ball.
Literally
that's
just
air.
nothing.
It's a mush ball.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
I
thank
will
you.
say, of the three of us, only one of our choices made it into the top 10 of the most popular candy as chosen by the United States of America in 2023.
Yeah.
And it was mine, Starburst.
I'd like to see the data from this poll.
Here's my
I'm not
take
really
on
sure
Starburst,
if I buy this.
Let's say nobody I feel like in the history of the world has ever bought actual roll of Starburst and eaten all of them.
No, you
I
kind of
think
got to
that's the
save
beauty
them,
of it, though, is each one's individually wrapped. So you eat 2 or 3 at a time, and you can kind of munch on it throughout the
To
week.
me, that
And you
just-
get one
it
tube,
has
and
no
it lasts you
sustainability.
forever. So
It
there
has
you
no
go.
sustainability.
I
to
will
it.
say I'm a big fan of the Fave Reds Starbursts. All the red flavors.
So you like red Starburst?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
The fruit punch,
Yes.
the cherry, the strawberry, excellent.
I mean, I like Starburst is fine, but it is truly a one at a time candy that you eat one. It's for me. It's you eat one of them and then you put that away
I'm
for a
full.
while.
I'm so full after that one Starburst.
You hand me 100 grand, I'm going
The
to
whole
town.
thing.
You can eat a whole Payday, but you can't eat 5 Starbursts.
I need Payday, and then I can say that was my healthy meal for the day.
Right, yeah.
Check some boxes.
All right, sorry, honey. I already had dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. We talked about the best Halloween
Officially
candy.
a dad. I mean, it's like Dad City.
No, truly, truly a dad. What if we flipped it over? What if we said, what's the worst Halloween candy? Can we all agree on this one?
Well, there's so many
If you're gonna say
bad
candy
choices.
corn-
They're horrible.
Are you going to say candy corn?
I love candy.
I had some the other night. It's got such a bad reputation.
It does.
I popped a
For
few in
good
at a friend's house,
reason.
and I was kind of like, it's not too bad.
It's not too shabby.
It's not too bad.
It's
No.
really
But
it's also
even when it's not stale, it tastes stale.
Do you know what my fellow dad friend did? He was like, "You think that's good?" This is funny.
no.
He went and got some peanuts, and he was like, "Eat
No.
one, eat one."
Get
I'm not
What is
joking.
it? What is it with you guys and peanuts?
I'm not joking. He was like, eat a candy corn with some peanuts. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. You know what? Now I'm thinking about what he told me it tasted like was a payday.
It always comes back to payday.
It's all making sense to me now.
Gosh. All right. My answer is Mounds because why do we need coconut in candy?
Great call.
This is just
Excellent.
something that needs to be involved.
I agree.
Yeah.
That is a bottom 30 player in the candy league.
Are you guys familiar with what Dan Mahoney, our boss, he said mallow cups?
No, he said this is his favorite.
That's
I had
his
not
favorite.
heard of these before.
I assume it's marshmallow.
Terrible.
But like in my head, I don't know what it is. Let me be clear. I don't know what this is, but it sounds like marshmallow cups, right? Like
so maybe
chocolate
like a
marshmallow situation. So kind of
maybe like a Reese's, but marshmallow instead of peanut butter.
Maybe.
Or like Three Musketeers adjacent, like.
Maybe we can ask the good people in the comments of this
you let
YouTube
us
video.
know?
Please let us know
what is your
what
favorite?
A mallow cup is.
Tell me what a mallow
And do
cup
you
is.
like them?
Yeah.
My answer for worst Halloween candy, banana Laffy Taffy.
Ugh, yeah.
Oh, good call.
Like,
yeah.
I mean,
Like what? It didn't even taste like banana.
I don't
Like, what even
know
is it?
who in America tasted like the good Laffy Taffy, the cherry flavor,
Right.
and said, "Do you know what we need? Do you know what would make this really good? Banana."
Yeah. I would probably say just one of my general least favorite candies ever, and it has a very specific reason, is Jolly Rancher, especially like sour.
Really?
apple. I mean, I don't need a razor blade in my mouth.
I agree with you also about the sour green apple.
That's fair.
Everybody had the lime candy, and then suddenly, big sour apple came in and changed everything from lime to sour apple, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants the sour
I
apple.
need a sour apple.
Yeah.
It literally turns into like a switchblade in your mouth.
I do understand it from that angle, but I love Jolly, especially the green apple's the best one.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
Get out of here.
amazing.
Bad take.
Amazing.
0 out of 10 take.
Wow.
That's like a little post game treat. Just pop a little Jolly Rancher, and you're good to go. Yeah.
Your tongue's all purple and green in your case. I
Yeah.
guess.
One of my least favorite
So-
candies.
Just
thanks.
comes with the territory. It's super fun. Okay, I gotta know before we transition here, what are your kids gonna be for Halloween this year?
Go ahead,
Mine are both going to be Indiana Jones because, as I explained before the Pistons game on the broadcast, that my oldest Harrison said he wanted to be Indiana Jones. And then my youngest Everett said, I want to be Indiana Jones. And so instead of letting them just sort it out as, a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old really aren't going to be able to negotiate very well, we said, you're both going to just be Indiana Jones.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they settled on that. So they both are.
So seeing double with Indiana Jones in the Royce
2
household.
Indiana Joneses.
I love that.
That's
I
awesome.
love it. It's gonna be so good.
It really seems like Everett looks up to Harrison
Yeah.
every way.
Oh, you're going to be Indiana Jones? I want to be it too.
That's awesome.
The good thing is Harrison didn't care. I feel like a lot of big brothers be like,
That's-
you can't do it too. Harrison's like, oh, sweet. We're both Indiana Jones.
Cool.
Big hype man, that
I
Harrison.
love that. All right,
Okay.
what's the Gallo family gonna be?
My daughter Camellia is 3. She's going to be Elsa from Frozen.
Classic.
So,
Very, very popular.
right down the middle with that one.
Yes.
We're pretty straight and narrow here at the Gallo household. My son Leo, who's 18 months, so he's going to be a ghost. But this morning, my wife Maddie threw a little curveball at me, and suddenly he was a cowboy on his way
Oh
to school.
snap!
So I think this was some sort of makeshift thing that happened. She got inspired while dressing him this morning to get ready for school.
Like a plaid shirt,
yeah,
or
and
like,
then like a little, bandana and like a little vest kind
Oh
of
my
thing. So
God.
See, you got
Yeah.
you got to lean into
Kind of
these
all denim.
years.
Yeah.
Leo's in
Yeah.
that age where you still get to pick his Halloween costume.
Right.
Camellia, she's trending out of that. Did she pick Elsa?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like
Yeah, yeah.
you're done.
We had
You're
no
toast.
choice.
You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
get to choose anymore.
Yeah.
So like
Right.
like you still get I get to dress you.
Yeah.
And so you gotta take advantage of this. So I respect Maddie's choice. Her audible.
Yeah, I mean, and she has full reign. And then our son, who's 2 months, is Julian, and he is going to be a pumpkin.
Oh my gosh! When babies are pumpkins, it's like the best thing because they're
Pumpkin
already
babies.
so like chubby and cute.
They already
and
are
you-
natural pumpkins.
They're a natural pumpkin, and now they're dressed as a pumpkin. That's adorable. Okay,
He's
I
got
can't-
red hair too, so he's really like leaning into the look. Yeah,
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see the pictures that come from these Halloween costumes. Okay, let's get into what happened these past few days with the Thunder. The last 4 games. We're 4 games into the regular season, so a lot has happened for the Thunder over these past, I would say, about 2 weeks. And we're going to do a Made You Look segment here because there have been a lot of eye-catching, eye-popping moments. Nick Gallo, we're going to start with you.
So the big one for me was to cap that comeback in Cleveland on Friday. The Thunder had to get a stop against the hottest guy in the building,
Yup.
Donovan Mitchell, who had just gone on an absolute tear in the second half of that game. The Thunder and Lou Dort had really kept him in check for the first half. Second half was a totally different story. But at the end of the day, it was 1v1. And how many times have we seen Lu Dort in that situation? Lu is so good at squaring a guy up, not giving him right or left hand, and forcing that guy to make a decision. Mitchell went right, and Dort was there, got the good contest on it. The shot really didn't have much of a chance.
Did you get a piece of it? It's hard to tell.
I think it was just like an awkward enough shot that it just looked like it wasn't going to go in. I don't know.
Yeah, either way, Lu did enough to just give it no chance. And I just thought that was another great example of what we've seen him do to Damian Lillard and to Kawhi Leonard and to Jamal Murray. Like all of those guys that are sort of in that range, Lu just seems to have a handle on in those late game situations.
It's so interesting to me. It was almost like as it was happening, Nick, like when the Cavs cleared out and they were going 1-on-1. In most cases, you'd be like, I want my guy that's rolling with 40-plus points to square up, go 1-on-1 with a chance. And it's interesting because it's like when it's against Lu Dort, it's like, that's a bad idea.
Right. Just play your offense.
Yeah, just run your offense. And you know what's really interesting about all those stops you listed out, where Lu does come up with these just clutch time stops, is they all end up in jump shots.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like people, they can't get around them. They cannot get all the way to the rim. They all end up just settling for a jump stop. And that's not even to mention the one that he had against De'Aaron Fox, where he just straight up picked his pocket and went and got the game-winning bucket himself. So it is an incredible skill. I mean, Lu's obviously one of the very best individual defenders in the NBA, but the ability in those critical moments to dig in, and he doesn't foul.
I was about to say that the one thing that doesn't happen is the fouls.
Yeah, he doesn't foul. You know, he's so disciplined, guards people with his chest, I think, better than anybody in the NBA. He's, like you used a perfect phrase, squares them up. It's really an incredible ability that Lu has.
Paris, from a player's perspective, just what are you seeing that he's doing in those situations? And were you the lockdown defender?
Yes, on my team, I was but I was obviously nowhere near Lu Dort. But what he does is beyond what anybody else can do. Like he's just so far ahead of the game. His ability to just move his feet, he's like a shadow. Like anything that you do, you can't shake him. And obviously, he's guarding players with such deep toolkits. They're bringing out the best to throw at him, and they cannot shake him. And so, like I was like the go-to defender for my team, but I didn't have an answer for everything like Lu Dort does. And also, he had Mitchell had 43 points in this game. I didn't have the mental endurance to just stay on a guy or on a player even after they've had a night like that. And I've had to defend them for 43 points and not get dejected or not let that bother me. And Lu Dort in that moment just, you know what? Clean slate, 0-0, me and you right now.
Yeah, it's a great
We're getting to stop. I'm letting that go.
The trust from the team, too, that after a 43-point night, there's no other thought than we're sticking Lu on this guy on this final possession.
Yeah, and also that's another good point, Nick, is that they also don't rush to try to like overhelp on those situations, which I think is sometimes like an instinctual thing that you might see a player do to say like, I want to go try to like double this,
right?
Like especially when Donovan Mitchell takes that first step to try to go downhill, but they know Lu's got this. And you know, we talked about the one-on-one nature of it. I think back to the one against Kawhi Leonard. I think they tried to screen him 3 or 4 times or whatever. They were trying to get Lu off, and they're trying to get a switch. And when you have that skill of Lu on top of it all, where he just won't be screened, so the Cavs were like, "Well, why even try? Like, it's not going to matter."
Coach Technolt says it's like a great movie. You know how it's going to end, but you want to watch it anyway.
Yeah,
you already know what's going to happen. All right, Royce, what made you look over the Thunder's first 4 games?
I mean, what made me look is what I couldn't see, because it's Josh Giddey and his inbound passing, and he had a couple against the Cavaliers specifically, but there was one of them, the one that he threw to Isaiah Joe. Where I swear Josh threw it into nothing. I mean, it was like, I don't know what he saw. He could see, it's like he saw Isaiah, like, it was almost like a wide receiver kind of getting like that initial step, and then he just threw it into space. But the way that the ball went through it, he also had one against the Bulls that really kind of defied logic. It was the one from like under the basket where he threads the needle to
Dort in the corner, right?
Dort in the corner. And it was like, how he didn't throw it on that the sideline out of bounds, like the line, like which would have been a turnover. I mean, Josh's ability on that is just incredible, and to me that is just like he even had one. I believe it was against the Nuggets. It was just like Aaron Wiggins just like makes a simple little cut to the bucket, and it's like sometimes they're flashy, sometimes they're simple, but there's very few players in the league that can generate points directly from out of bounds in the way Josh Giddey can.
I would absolutely hate to play pool against Josh Giddey, because the way that he understands the angles and just like the physics of how the ball is going to bounce exactly, like that one that you mentioned in Chicago.
That one was crazy.
I mean, he probably had a 6-inch window that he could bounce that ball in bounds where it wouldn't either be at loose ankles or it would just be out of bounds. And he managed to find that one spot on the floor to pick that ball. The one that you mentioned to Isaiah Joe, even in the replay, I watched that replay a bunch of times. I don't know where the ball bounced. Did it bounce between the defender's legs?
I don't either. It's like he threw it into nothing. It's like he snapped his fingers and it like apparated to Isaiah Joe. I don't know what happened.
We talked to Shea after, I think it was the Cleveland game, because he connected on Josh on one of those backdoor passes on the sideline, and then Josh did the exact same pass to Isaiah Joe next, and he said it's like free points whenever Josh is taking the ball out on these sort of baseline and sideline out of bounds plays. It's sorcery. You have no idea where the ball is going to go. But do you remember, you did a path on this last year of Josh's just ability to see the floor. And you remember that play with Kenrich where he just kind of like had a little like flick of his finger a little bit on the sideline. Yeah. It's like before he grabs the ball, he is assessing the floor, and he says in his head, I'm like in Josh Giddey's thought bubble here, I'm like, if I grab the ball and I see that somebody is asleep, I know someone's going to be open. It's like he's assessing the defense before he even grabs the ball.
You know what's funny, though? Now in year 3, something that I didn't even realize that I noticed until you just said this right now, is Josh isn't having to do those little things.
No.
He's, the first couple years, he was kind of like, like doing stuff with his eyes and like looking around. Like the guys,
they know.
And that's the power of continuity is like, and it's what we saw on Sunday afternoon with the Nuggets when they came into town, Jokic, the defending champs. Like they don't have to do that stuff anymore. They just go where they know they're supposed to go.
Run to space and Josh will maybe throw it to me. Just have your head on a swivel and be ready to find it, because otherwise he'll hit you in the head.
Right.
Oh my gosh. It's just so fun to watch. And anytime he gets the ball on the sideline or on the baseline, everyone's just like, ooh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And always just great judgment. Not always a home run pass, but always seems to be the right decision and right pass there. All right, here's what made me look. It was in yesterday's game against Detroit. Shea gets a fast break. And it seems like a typical fast break, right? Like you guys know what play I'm about to talk about. He gets a fast break. He's got a defender on him. He gets a step on the defender, and then Joe Harris steps in front of the rim. And then Shea just elevates and dunks over him out of nowhere. For me, that play, nothing about that play before it said, oh yeah, this is going to be a dunk from Shea, But then when he did it, it was like the most easy poster of all time. It was just effortless.
And not to mention he had Jaden Ivey, an incredibly athletic guard, kind of on his shoulder in his rearview mirror. And Shea just elevated over both of them. It
looked to me like almost like Shea had like a Boba Fett style like jetpack on his back, and he like hit a button. And it's like he kind of kept going up. Like I don't know what happened. It was so casual. That Shea did it. It was like, here, let me just place this on your head, Joe Harris. And like
it was a very Shea style dunk, I would say. Like he's so smooth and unorthodox and plays at his own pace. It's exactly how that poster was. It's like this is not going to be a ferocious like rip your head off kind of dunk. Exactly. It's going to go through the rim, and you're going to know that you just got posterized.
By the way, for your Royce Young bingo cards, we've got now Star Wars and Indiana Jones checked off.
I also said apparate.
Apparate, so Harry Potter. Right, okay, so that's 3. You only need 2 more for bingo.
You get a free chicken sandwich.
There we go. I love it. All right, let's look back a little bit more and get a little bit deeper into these first 4 games, particularly on the defensive end for this team. That was an emphasis throughout the entire preseason game, and the Thunder has seen a lot of different teams, a lot of different styles of offenses, and particularly these last 2 games against Denver and Detroit, the Thunder had to learn real quickly about physicality on the defensive end and doing so without fouling. And in that Detroit game, they threw the first punch, and they were the more physical team against that Detroit team.
What was remarkable about that, though, was OKC played relatively small for most of the game. We saw J-Dub at the 4 quite a bit. We saw Josh Giddey at the 4. We saw Davis Bertans in at the 4. Thunder mostly kept Chet Holmgren and Olivier Sarr on the floor, at least one of them on the floor at all times against that massive size and physicality of Detroit. But what OKC was able to do is pull Detroit away from the rim. They were able to stretch the floor with their bigs who could shoot and who could play out of the high post and still hold up in the rebounding battle and defensively. And that's the recipe for this team moving forward is, can they be tough enough and physical enough while still being small and fast.
I can't remember exactly. I looked at it last night in the box score, so this might be completely wrong, but I believe it was 4 players with 7 or more rebounds. I think that might be right.
We can fact check that.
We could look it up, or don't. Just take my word for it.
Yeah, 4 with 7 or more.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, see, I'm right. Memory got me. But to me, it's kind of to your point, Nick, that and Mark Daigneault talked about this some after the game of not everybody was just looking at like the tall guy to get all the rebounds. It is a group effort to do that sort of thing, especially with the way that the Pistons tried to kind of rough you up on the glass. And, the Pistons did have 15 second chance points. We talked about this on the postgame last night, Paris, but they were 5 of 12 shooting on second chance opportunities, which again, second chance opportunities a lot of times are point blank put back because they're trying to just grab and put it right back up. And the Thunder were just basically all over it, very active, and just gang rebounding. Did a great job of everybody contributing there. Josh Giddey was great. Shea was great. J-Dub was great. And Olivier Sarr had off the bench, I think he played like 20 minutes in the game, had 9 rebounds. Extremely active, high energy player, and really effective in his time on the floor.
I was going to bring up Olivier because the rim protection in this game, we saw a lot of a lot of highlight worthy blocks. Of course, Chet had one, Olivier had one, Josh Giddey had one. It was an incredible block. He got called for a foul. Mark challenged it. It got overturned, but we saw like multiple guys kind of get in on that action. And I was just thinking to myself about just the activity around the rim compared to that game against Denver, where that was certainly an area probably in the film room in that practice facility where they were like, we got to pick up the pressure and the intensity when the ball gets into the paint.
Yeah. And the reason why Denver is the champs is because they're surrounding Jokic with tons of shooting. Jamal Murray, the fact that he's their point guard, and the shooting ability he has. So, of course, the Thunder's defense way more stretched. But a great point by you, Paris. 10 blocks in the game for the Thunder. And it led to this incredible stat here, 43% shooting by Detroit in the paint.
Which is crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, that number should be around 55 to 60% in the paint. Yeah, exactly. So, incredible performance inside by the Thunder.
And again, I think Denver was 78%.
Yeah.
I think it was at the rim was the stat in that game. But again, it just shows the turnaround improvement. Again, Denver and Detroit, different beasts.
Very different.
But, the defending champs there. But at the same time, that does demonstrate that there were some corrections made by the Thunder and some adjustments that really paid dividends.
But how about these first 4 games for the Thunder right out of the gates? You play 2 veteran Eastern Conference teams that have designs on trying to make the playoffs. You've got the defending champions. You've got this Detroit team who's kind of more in the Thunder's peer group. But all of them have big-time front court players. You think Vucevic in Chicago, Mobley in Cleveland, Jokic, of course, and then Detroit just is going to try to maul you down there.
Well, and Jalen Duren's gotten off to a great start in this season, has been extremely active on the glass, big physical guy himself. So, yeah, I mean, it's been that was a great point you made it last night too, Nick, and I thought that, when you talk about the NBA and what you're up against all the time is this sort of just, it is a new challenge every single night and in a lot of different ways. And so, just in the first week of the season, the Thunder have seen a lot of that and gotten a good taste of what the NBA season is going to be like.
They've also gone up against some really intense defenses as well. And the Thunder's offense has, again, the ups and downs already in just 4 games this season. This is what happens in the NBA. And we're going to extrapolate this over 82 games and just see how this goes. But for the game against Denver, the Thunder's offense really struggled to find its rhythm, right? Obviously, Denver has so much size. They're so sharp defensively, very active, and a lot of cohesion on that end of the floor. And the Thunder could not, it was some shot making, but also a little bit of just not being able to find the right spot and right opportunities. And against Detroit, that didn't seem to be an issue at all. And Detroit is a very strong defense, especially this season with Monty Williams at the helm. And OKC seemed unfazed by any of the defensive pressure that Detroit was throwing their way.
Well, we talked so much about the force that the Thunder played with defensively, but I think a big cause for that was the power and the force with which the Thunder played offensively. J-Dub was absolutely tenacious last night, attacking the basket, really physical. He actually flexed on somebody at one point. And then Josh Giddey, he had that run. He had 13 points in the fourth quarter to really put the thing away.
Yeah.
And every single one of those baskets was just bully ball.
Yeah, and Josh's version of a flex is when he flips his hair.
Right. That was a great tweet.
That was great.
I've noticed that with Josh, is that a lot of times when he gets out in the open court, especially he lays it in as he's hitting the baseline to turn around, he always flips his hair back. It's kind of like his fist pump or something. But no, I mean, and that is, again, Detroit. They are a physical team, like you said, Paris. They've gotten off to a great start defensively, but the Thunder were really kind of able to expose some mismatches with their size and physicality. Yeah. They, Josh had smaller guards on him at different times, whether that was Jaden Ivey or I think Sasser was on him a couple different times. And Josh basically just kind of took him down and used his size and got to the rim and scored. I think he had 13 points in the fourth quarter, 21 for the game. So that was a great job by Josh. Really was kind of part of an early fourth quarter lineup that put the game away. SGA and Lou Dort came back in with about 4 minutes to go to just make sure it was put away. But that Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams lineup is really what kind of did it.
Yeah, this group finished with over 50 points in the paint in both of these last two games, and particularly in this Detroit game. It was very clear early on. And the first point of the game was a 3-pointer by Chet Holmgren, but that point was generated, that opportunity was generated because Shea got downhill, got into the paint, kicked it out for a 3-pointer by Chet.
And just to kind of tie the two things that we've talked about here together, the defense against a big team, the offense being able to play bully ball like that, from a team building perspective, this is why the Thunder has gone after big guards.
Yep.
Josh Giddey, 6'8", Shea, 6'6", J-Dub, 6'6". Those guys all got block shots. They all were able to impose their will at the rim while still playing small in terms of the guard skills that they have. They can still be big.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Williams played some 5 against Jokic. At a certain point, he played a little bit of 5.
Just a little bit.
against Detroit. I mean, so it's like, that kind of dynamic versatility is an incredible weapon to have.
The other thing that these first 4 games have allowed us to do is kind of check in with the Thunder newcomers, right? As particularly guys like Chet Holmgren and Cason Wallace, who have seen a lot of minutes early on this season. And we talked a little bit about Chet. I have been very, very impressed just with his approach over these first 4 games. He seems to just have a great head on his shoulders of not overreacting to highs, not overreacting to lows, but he does have a really high standard for himself internally of how he feels like he should go out there and perform.
Yeah, and he has been very upfront and honest about that, he did not think that he played to his standard in Chicago. He came right back, had 7 blocks in Cleveland, and had a big rebounding night there as well. Yeah. So when Sam Presti said his mindset is for real, this is what he's talking about. Yeah. That he is an absolute competitor, and not just between the lines, but with himself in between games. And this was really reflected in your big piece on him at the beginning of the season, right?
Well, I mean, like you said, Chet's mindset is what makes him pretty special. I mean, the tool set is there, at his size and his unique abilities, but he wouldn't be the player he is if he didn't think the way he does. And, I think we saw it, 2 different moments kind of stick out to me early on in this season. One of them, I'm going to go all the way back to preseason. It's when Wembanyama hit him in the face, knocked Chet down, and got an N1, I think, on the play. Chet, I was so impressed with Chet because there was a lot of hype made about those 2 guys going against each other. Chet did not react whatsoever. He got right back up, kind of wiped his mouth. I think his lip was bloodied a little bit. And like 2 possessions later, Chet got his own N1. Yeah. And to me, that was kind of that like lack of reaction there from him was really impressive. And then another one, he got dunked on by Nikola Vucevic in Chicago, a big, strong, physical veteran center that, the type of player that a lot of people perceive that Chet is going to have some issues with. And Vucevic got him. Chet was unfazed, went right back at it, and competes against guys like that, doesn't worry about getting dunked on whatsoever. That's one of the things he's told me and told a lot of different people. Sam Presti talked about that. He's going to get dunked on. He doesn't care. Right. And to me, that kind of mindset from Chet Holmgren. And I'll also say this, if you just look at just the way he has fit in offensively as well, I've been really impressed with the young guy with his ability. Number 2 overall pick. And he's not trying to do too much.
Nope.
He took 5 shots in the game against Detroit, hit 4 of 5. They were all threes. He's taken what the defense gives him. He understands what he's playing with, and his mindset is to win the game.
Yeah.
And there's been very few points where Chet's been like, let me show you guys what I can do. Because Chet can do some stuff.
Yes, he can.
But he's playing within the structure of the Thunder because he knows that's in the best interest of the team.
Yeah, Chet doesn't get mad. He gets even. And that's what he's doing, right? Like he does what he does on the defensive end. And he's never been a high volume scorer. In terms of shot attempts, he's been extremely efficient, and he's already demonstrated that efficiency. I think some of what he was able to do just in preparation last year, mentally, the scouts, being able to get used to the NBA 3-point line certainly has helped him hit the ground running here so far. And so you're exactly right. He's not forced a thing here in this.
The game against Cleveland, I think he took 9 shots. I think he was 6 of 9 shooting in that one, or 5 of 9. I can't remember exactly what it was. It was only 9 shots though.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a huge one late in that game to tie it up, and you would think that like with the impact that Chet had all over the floor in that one, that he might have been like really, really involved offensively. But again, he picked his spots. He's not overdoing it, and I think that's a great sign for a young player to really understand that. And this is where I think, honestly, I mean, it all would have been better if Chet had been able to play his first season.
Of course.
But this is where I think it was effective for Chet to learn and grow. He was able to see, okay, this is where I can help amplify this group.
Mm-hmm.
I see I've got SGA. I see I've got Josh Giddey, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, so much talent all over the floor. Let me figure out where I can fit in. This does not need to be the Chet Holmgren show. Right. This just needs to be about the Thunder, and I think Chet gets that.
Every word out of his mouth is always about the team. Like in every post-game interview, it's like, it's about the group. It's about what I can do to help the group and ultimately get to where we want to go together. And just, I want to point something out because you talked about Chet's 3-point shooting and his efficiency. Cason Wallace, Chet Holmgren combined right now from the 3-point line, 15 of 22.
Seems good.
You can't keep Cason off the court. I mean,
he's only missed 1 shot in his career, and I just think that is so impressive. This rookie, Cason in particular, we've heard from Coach Daigneault and his teammates just about his professionalism and his demeanor. He doesn't seem to get rattled like ever. I haven't seen him get worked up really even. He just kind of super steady, super even, and he's had some really great defensive stands as well. Obviously, he came in as a defensive-minded player, had some really great defensive assignments, but offensively, he is showing off what he can do behind the 3-point line.
Yeah, they say about the good rookies that they're all ears, and I think that is Cason Wallace to a T. Very, very soft-spoken, if spoken at all, and he is just like absorbing all of this, taking it all in, getting in where he fits in, and doing the job and running back down floor. And he's averaged 21 minutes a night as a result.
Yeah, and Mark Daigneault talked a little bit about it after the Detroit game of his intellect, and just how smart of a young player it is, and that's obviously somewhat of an unusual thing to be able to process and pick up things at the rate that he is. Mark talked a little bit about I think it was the Cleveland game that they had some rotational things put in where we're going to rotate over to these guys, but not that guy, and those are like higher level things that more veteran players that have been in more film sessions might be able to kind of process and understand. Cason picked it up right away.
Yeah.
And not only does that impress the coaching staff, but also his teammates to be able to be like, this guy gets it. He's going to step right in. We can trust that he understands the assignments on the court. And like you said, Nick, I mean, the guy, he just plays with like a poise and a demeanor, the composure of him. Obviously a great player, blocked Jamal Murray, which caught me off guard.
Yeah.
People underestimate Jamal Murray's a big guard.
He's big, yeah.
Big guard. And Cason got up and blocked his shot. But also, again, similar to Chet, Cason's not trying to do too much. He's just kind of playing his role, shooting when he's open. It's been really interesting to see, we've seen a lot of the small screening actions that the Thunder like to use. And we've seen Cason involved in a lot of those. And Cason's been in the dunker spot a lot. Mm-hmm. And we've seen him be effective down there with guards dropping it off to him and him finishing. So the versatility of the team is one of its greatest assets, and Cason fits right into that.
He does all the little things out there on the floor defensively. And Coach Daigneault said, you know what? There's a word for that. It's called a winner. And we got a chance to actually sit down and talk to Cason Wallace earlier to get the chance to know about the rookie a little bit more. Here's that interview. All right, we are now joined by rookie Cason Wallace. Cason, first of all, thank you for joining me. Thanks for taking the time. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Obviously, you're a rookie to the league. I mean, have there been any connection points, fun connections with your teammates so far?
Yeah, a few just getting skipped, today a few times because I'm a rookie. But it's all fun, and I'm just taking it all in right now.
Yeah, what's it like getting to know your teammates and this team in general?
There's a lot of characters on this team, so I feel like it'll be a lot of fun moments that will be made.
What about Oklahoma City in general? You're not far from your hometown in Dallas, but what have you kind of learned about the city so far?
There's a lot of nice people out here. That's something that I can't say about every place, but, I've seen a few people, just being out, and they come up and they're very nice with their approach and how they go about it. So I say Thunder has great fans.
What's it like being in OKC when your hometown is just 3 hours away?
I like it out here. It's calm, chill. So it's not as rowdy as Dallas. Dallas could get a little chaotic at times, but I like being out here.
we know that your hometown, particularly your neighborhood in Dallas, Hamilton Park, has a special place in your heart. Can you tell us about it?
Definitely just my whole family grew up in the house that we live in now. So there's a lot of history that's been through that house. So I just want everybody from my neighborhood to know, like, you can do it no matter where you come from, what you want to do. Just set your mind to it and you can make that accomplishment.
What's the community like in Hamilton Park?
There's a lot of houses being built out there right now. So it's kind of making it come up. So it's nice. You know, I'm trying to give back to the community a little bit. So I have some things in the works.
Okay. All right. We won't get into that. We'll let you reveal that at your own time. Getting to know you a little bit more. Do you have a personal mantra or maybe a lyric that you live by or anything that motivates you personally?
Yeah. During the pre-draft process, I was saying, like, let's be a pro today. Like, that's kind of what's been getting me through. Like, you got to wake up. You got to be a pro. Like, go take care of what you got to take care of.
Where did that come from for you?
I don't know. I was just working out one day, and I say a lot of things when I'm working out, and it kind of stuck with me. I like that one.
Let's be a pro today.
Yeah.
And that, how much did that help you throughout your process?
It helped me a lot because the days that, you know, you don't want to work out or, you know, it's a lot going on. So you like, I'm just going to chill today. You can't. Like, you're a pro. You have to go take care of your business.
How much does being a pro infiltrate your daily life? Like, what does that look like for you being a pro?
First, you got to get out of bed. That's the hard part. Once you make it out of bed, then everything else is smooth sailing. So you just have to have that mindset, like, get out the bed and go into the world, do what you have to do.
I love that. Let's be a pro today. Speaking of your team, getting to know them a little bit more, what have you learned about the culture of this team and just what makes this team click?
I would say everybody comes in with a mindset that they want to get better every day. Everybody's in the gym consistently. They want to be in the gym. It's not them being forced to be in the gym. They're willingly, you know. And with us having a lot of young players, we're kind of learning from each other. So I feel like that's a good, you know, platform for us to have.
Yeah, what's that like for you, being a part of an environment where everybody feels and thinks that way?
I feel like it's great for me because it forces me to have to, you know, work even harder because, you know, don't nobody on the team want to be the one that works the least, you know. Everybody wants to be the hardest worker. So if you want to be up there in the category, you gotta go do your work.
It's contagious.
Definitely.
I love that. Switching gears to your game. Offensively, you have opportunities to, you know, find and catch and shoot opportunities, even get downhill a little bit. What have you learned so far about your role offensively?
Right now, I'm just trying to knock down the open shots, like you said, make the right plays. Eventually, I'll be more comfortable with the system and my teammates and knowing how they like to play. It's where I'll actually have a role and know my purpose on the court.
How have you kind of evolved your game over the course of your career so far?
Definitely shooting the ball better. That's something that I've been working on a lot. So I'm proud that I'm doing that at a higher rate. Being able to, another thing is a skill in my eyes, like knowing what your teammates like to do. Some players might want to lob, some don't. Just knowing that as you're on the court in, you know, certain situations, that might come in handy. We
saw you throw a lob out there in Summer League to your fellow rookie. Have you been able to learn what he likes, apparently?
Yeah, he likes lobs. He would rather lob.
Getting back to your mentality, because this is very interesting to me. Sam Presti, after the draft, he told us that you had such a no-nonsense mentality when you approach work, basketball. What does that look like for you? What does that mean to you?
Just making sure everything that you do has a meaning instead of going to the gym or going to eat fast food when you know you should be eating something healthy. So I'd say just knowing what you want and being able to go get it.
Where did that come from? I mean, typically that's a hard lesson for young people to learn. Where did you learn that?
My dad, he used to always tell me, like, take care of your business first. So whether you want to go have fun this weekend, you got to take care of your business throughout the week and make sure you've done enough to earn that weekend off or whatever.
How much of an influence has your dad had on your career?
Huge influence. He drops some gems every once in a while. Even to this day, I mean, just make sure you stay true to yourself. So he just gives me little gems here and there.
Did he have a coaching role at all in your life? Was he helping you out there, getting your shots up and all that stuff?
Yeah, he's the one that started me with basketball. I started off as a post, and he used to teach me the post moves and all that. I was a very good post player. But then he had passed me on. He stopped coaching me and all that. And then I evolved to a guard.
You used to be a post player.
Yeah, I used to be a post player.
How much do you think that helps you in your game now as a guard?
I think it helps a lot because now I feel like I know the tendencies of a post player, like what they like to do, what they're feeling for when they're trying to make their moves. So I usually like try to bait them into it. So they think they're finna spin, but I know they're finna spin. So,
you're on top of it.
Yeah.
You already know. And for you, you mentioned being a post player that comes with a level of physicality. Just how much confidence do you have in where you are physically right now coming into the league, going up against other NBA players?
Physically, I have some more work to do. You know, there are a lot of grown men in the league that are older and stronger than me. So that's one thing that I've been working on, just getting stronger, filling out a little bit more. So I'm not, far behind, but that's something that I've been working on.
Circling back a little bit, because this is interesting to me. Do you remember when you fell in love with the game of basketball?
Probably sophomore year in high school.
Really? Not until sophomore year?
Yeah, I was playing other sports like football, track, soccer. Yeah, tried out for the tennis team in middle school. But I was just playing everything. But once I stopped playing football, that was the last sport. It was football and basketball. I stopped playing football freshman year. And then after that, I was just working on basketball year round. My first time ever doing it. So I was like, it's not that bad. I'm in the gym all the time. Like, I'm not outside hot or it's cold. Like, I don't have to worry about the weather at all. So I love what I picked. I love the choice that I made.
You made a great choice, clearly. What was the reasoning behind basketball instead of football? Was it purely the weather?
No, that did have a factor in it. But longevity of it, it's just what I enjoyed the most.
And clearly you made the right choice. Kaysen, thanks so much for taking the time. It was so great getting to know you a little bit more.
Thank you for having me.
My favorite part of that entire interview was when I asked Kaysen what his personal mantra is, or, what's something that helped him throughout his career. And he said during the pre-draft process, the thing I was saying to myself every single time I woke up was, let's be a pro today.
Yeah.
Let's be a pro today. And I'm like, that's exactly what we see out there on the floor right now. He's probably still saying that to himself going into the Thunder practice facility every single day.
And he has some great pros to look up to.
Yeah.
And I think he really recognizes that and embraces that, what a situation to come into to have Shea, Lou, J-Dub, Josh, Kenrich, guys all kind of at a similar position to him. And look at how their careers have panned out. Some of those guys were drafted way up high, some drafted late, some drafted not at all. And here he is, 10th pick in the draft, getting a chance to figure out where he fits in that mix.
Yeah, just an exceptionally talented player. But so we've seen a lot of guys like that coming into the NBA. But a lot of it is mindset driven.
Yeah.
And, we talked a lot about it with Chet Holmgren. But when you have the right approach and the right type of mindset, and you see it with so many young players too. I remember David Thorpe used to call it the kind of the royal jelly theory, about like sometimes some guys just got it. Like you just got it. But also some guys, it's about environment and where you can fit into that. And can that bring out some of your best qualities? And for me, I see that so often with some of these young players in Oklahoma City is they've got it, but they also can have some of their best qualities pulled out of them because of the environment. And And for a guy like Cason Wallace, and to your point, Nick, that environment is so clearly driven by some of the pre-existing players, and they really kind of maintain that, they champion that, and it makes it easy for young players, I think, to slot in and do it with confidence and just kind of play the game and really tap into their skill set, and that's what we see with Cason.
Yeah, and to what you're saying there about environment, like I think coming out of the draft, there was maybe a lot of people who were pegging Cason as a point guard, but what we've seen here so far is that the way that he plays off the ball is really amplified by the guys that do have the ball more on this team. And so his ability to cut, his ability to space out to the corner for three, he's been, I mean, to say he's been excellent from the corner
is ridiculous.
Okay. Is an understatement, but like those things that he's able to do as an off-ball player and the prioritization that he puts on defense, well, that's a perfect complement to what this group needs. You think about transitioning from Lou Dort in the first unit to Cason Wallace in the second unit. What breathing room is there for a guard on the opposing team to really get into that comfort zone?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, and Cason already showcasing his offensive ability, but more importantly, the professionalism that's going to really help him throughout this 82-game season that the Thunder is on right now. 4 games into the season for the Thunder, and they're in the middle of a 6-game homestand. Let's take a look as to what's up next for OKC. And they have a game on Wednesday, November 1st. Yes, inside of Paycom Center. They're taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. And then on Friday, this is going to be interesting. The Thunder welcomes the Golden State Warriors to Paycom Center. This is going to be the first in-season tournament game of the year for the Thunder. A brand new thing that we've talked about already on this podcast. It'd be really interesting to see, how all of that unfolds throughout the season.
Yeah, there's going to be kind of a lot of bells and whistles that you'll see at that game, different floor. And so that'll be just a kind of a brand new experience for all of us. I know the teams are all kind of just taking it in and, seeing what the NBA has in store on that front. So that will definitely, and, to have a team like the Warriors coming in is going to require great focus. Yeah. So it'll be a fascinating challenge for this young Thunder team. The first year of this in-season tournament, there's going to be so much pomp and circumstance. Do you have the mental grit and toughness that we're talking about, the focus and discipline to go up against one of the most highly tuned machines in the NBA for the last decade?
Yeah, and the Warriors, they look quite good so far. Yeah. So, I'm looking forward to the in-season tournament games just for, what's kind of new about it, what's different about it. I think, we've talked a lot about kind of the open-minded nature of what the in-season tournament's going to bring. For the Thunder, though, I'm sure for a lot of the players, the mindset is like, okay, the in-season tournament thing is the league's thing, but like we've got a basketball game to play. This is, that will be number 6 of 82.
Yep.
So it's about, getting better and figuring out the things that they need to do in that game. But, it'll be fun. I'm excited to see the new court in person.
Yeah.
I thought it personally looked pretty cool.
Yeah. Very colorful.
And, compared to a lot of different teams and the way it's going to match up with the uniforms, it's going to be pretty fun.
And at the end of the day, it's a new experience for this group. And as we hear from Coach Daigneault all the time, new experiences are exactly what this group wants and needs to be able to learn from them and grow and get better through each and every one of them. Thunder already learning through experience. It's been really, really fun to watch. We will see you the next time we podcast. Be sure to come down to Paycom Center. You got a few more chances to see this team in action before they hit the road. But until then, thank you so much for watching and listening. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Royce Young, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Royce. Pleasure.
And until next time, Thunder up and catch you later.